the violent scenes in history that a lot of people think about, where like Reservoir Dogs, the ear cutting, that's like from the distance and the dancing, the wide shots, it does cut in, but it's so dispassionate, it's almost more, what's the word, controversial, because it's not quick cuts, it's not sexy, it's just watch this.
Well, you know what, Mark, a good comparison maybe, but not to the level. Killer Joe doesn't go to the level this does, but to think about the 9-minute tunnel scene in Irreversible,
Oof.
where you can't look away. It's one of the most difficult sequences to watch in film history, as far as I'm concerned. But it's kind of like, I think I could buy that Friedkin was probably going for a similar thing, whether consciously or unconsciously, with his decision to do that. Yeah,
you're 100% right, and just showing that, like, the camera's watching, you're just watching. There's no breath, like there's no close up of ears. I don't know why there'd be a close up of an ear. I don't know. Don't ask me. But it's there's just, you could have played that shot 100 different ways. And I think the way Friedkin did it was perfect. But yeah, I guess if you're the MPAA, you're going, whoa, what is this? But yeah, also Friedkin talked about 20 minutes. But we made these cuts and then these cuts. He's like, and I know movies that are more violent than this. But
yeah.
And listen,
just imagine him saying that too. Yeah.
He's like, listen, Jonny Numb, Dragon Cost Concrete features some wildly violent moments and some very dispassionate moments. But this one, the way they filmed it and the way they shot it, I mean, listen, like the nudity and the chicken and the murder and the blood, it's a movie that revels, and it has to. This movie can't ring as inauthentic, but it revels in the grossness. It revels in the world, and I think it has to be that way. And I know it hit NC-17, but this movie probably wouldn't have made much money as R-rated either.
I doubt it. It would have been really just a small art house circuit kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, imagine How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days fan. Like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Totally fine movie. Fool's Gold, Wedding Planner. Those fans going in to watch Killer Joe.
Mm-hmm.
That's a recipe for an F cinema score right there.
Well, I was going to say, if you trimmed it down to an R rating and released it to multiplexes, can you imagine the female fans just like clearing out of the theater in droves and just or even male fans, even people who liked him in Interstellar or some of his more serious stuff, or Amistad. It's like, oh my god, this doesn't please either McConaughey demographic. It's very much its own thing. Yeah.
And that's why I've been championing it for a decade now. I have been championing I've been a champion of this movie, Jonny Numb. I've been champagning this movie for...
You're a champagne to me, Mark.
Yeah. Listen, I want to see what you think about this. And we watch a lot of horror movies, and we watch a lot of heavier type films. I think there is a time for a horror movie to be funny and glossy. I mean, I love Werewolves Within, but it's a lot of digital camera work. It's a lot of humor. There's no need for it to be gross and glossy. But I think this movie nails. I mean, you have Friedkin and Caleb Deschanel and Matthew McConaughey and Gina Gershon and Thomas Haden Church and Juno Temple and Emile Hirsch. That's a sick cast. And I mean, even the production designer works. I took some notes here. Francisco Giacomo, he had done like Expendables, Rocky, Rambo. He got to start in Cabin Fever. So I mean, that's a good looking little grimy movie.
Well, and I was going to say, Mark, Tyler Bates did the music for this, and he's Mr. Hollywood, he's worked with rock stars and stuff like that. He did the score to Dawn of the Dead, the remix. So I'm like, he's been around too, even at that point. Yeah.
Well, I have a funny story for you. So Friedkin, when he had this movie started, and he had a score that was very like, like, I am a man of constant sorrow, just very like Texas twang, a lot of over the top country.
Yeah.
And a producer listened to it and said, "This is not right, William. This is not. We can't do this. This betrays the tone of the movie." So they rearranged the songs and they brought in Tyler Bates. This producer had major sway, by the way, to bring in Tyler Bates.
Okay.
And Friedkin said, listen, man, I just want a minimal score. And Tyler's like, that's what I always try to do. He's like, people make me, I have to make all these bombastic scores, but I just want to make one of these. So it was a really nice match because Tyler had always wanted to make a score like this. But since Tyler was known for Dawn of the Dead guy and other, 300, I believe, bigger.
Well, I think one of my favorite scores by him is probably Ty West's The Sacrament, actually. He scored that too.
Oh, wow, The Sacrament.
Yeah. That's a feel-good movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a cult classic. Oh! Excuse me while I run around my room, pumping my fists in the air with that horrible line.
But you're right, Mark. He's like Mr. Hollywood. He's worked with Zack Snyder a couple times, like you said. Yeah.
This movie had... I mean, it's Friedkin, right? And Friedkin is coming off of Bug. I mean, he had a couple bombs with, Blue Chips, The Hunted, which... The Hunted's fine. But yeah, I mean, this movie is when he could pull these names. And McConaughey, he read the script and threw it away. And, and eventually his friends were like, yo, this is Tracy Letts. Like, this is a comedy. Read it again. So he read it again and got in the mindset of it. And he got really into it. And it just, I mean, yeah, Juno Temple, what's wild is I just learned this watching Ted Lasso. She's British. I had no clue. And Juno, what?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if she was British or Australian, so yeah.
I was watching Ted Lasso, and I was like, man, she has a great British accent.
Mm-hmm.
And then Megan, my wife, researched it. She's like, Mark, she is. I'm like, what? No! No, what? Blew my mind. But I guess going back to the gritty, grimy aspect of this, nothing in it really rings faux gritty, which I know that sounds weird, but there are movies that you and I have watched, Jonny Numb, that are very faux gritty.
Oh, yeah.
They don't ring as... This one... Okay, we both love VFW. But VFW and Killer Joe are both gritty and grimy for totally different reasons. One is futuristic, beat down, almost post-apocalyptic, gritty, grimy movie, but it's very gritty. It's just made gritty. Killer Joe is gritty, but it's filmed in real locations, and it's not treated as gritty, grimy. It's there, if that makes sense. I wish I could explain this better.
Well, I think something you're getting at, Mark, is a lot of, in the wake of Grindhouse, a lot of filmmakers were like, oh, I'm going to add a bunch of aged-down effects to my movie, to make it look all dirty or grimy or jump cutty or whatever, but that's faux dirt, that's faux grime. Whereas with something like this, Friedkin doesn't do a lot of weird effects with the camera. He's just kind of, like you said, he's filming these locations and he's kind of just letting all the atmosphere come out of the locations themselves rather than try to slap a layer of fake dirt on things. It doesn't have to be any dirtier than it is because we get the feeling that things are dirty. It's a frickin' trailer park. There's one desolate location after another, and just the characters ooze this dead end sleaziness that just kind of, all of this stuff starts coming out to the point where you feel like you can smell this movie as it's going along,
Man, if they had smell-o-vision at Alamo Drafthouse, you could just get the chicken in there and just pipe in that smell.
I was going to say, okay, now scratch on Charlot's bloody nose. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Do I smell iron? What is that?
It smells like a handful of pennies. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Hey, Jonny Numb, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more Killer Joe. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Johnny, one thing we haven't covered on, I know this is the feel-good series. We talk about Elle. We talk about Super Dark Times. Woo! Samurai Swords. We've really covered some brutal films that we love, and we've had a great time talking about them. But I think Killer Joe, and what we haven't really expanded upon, is the sense of humor in this movie.
Yes.
Are there some funny moments that ring out to you that just made you laugh while watching this?
Oh my gosh! Now that you put me on the spot. Well, the one moment that makes me laugh every time is the moment where they're in the lawyer's office, Charlotte Charla and Ansel. Ansel obviously is not accustomed to wearing a suit and tie. He's wearing like a trucker hat with an American flag on it. And Charla notices like a stray thread on the shoulder of his suit. So she like reaches over, pulls it, and like the top of his sleeve falls down.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And then the lawyer walks in and just is like, it's just played off like it's nothing. And I kind of love that. It's just very deadpan, I think.
And that's a credit, I think, to Gershon and Thomas Haden Church. I mean, they are just hilarious in this movie and how they underplay, but they're not super underplayed. I mean, Gershon does. I mean, Gershon, when she's laughing, when she's on the phone talking to Rex, that laugh, and she's like, I gotta develop. She has pictures of Rex that come back later, but her laugh though, like just this creepiest laugh I've ever heard. It's just, oh man, there's just the weirdest. What did they say? There's a line in the movie, like you're gonna be fumigating the gates of hell. Isn't that what they said?
Yeah, when you're done fumigating the gates of hell. It's Ansel says that to Charla after they've had the encounter with Chris when they learn that Dottie's not the beneficiary and basically everything is screwed up. You know what a moment I like that's just so absurd, Mark, is near the end. It's when Ansel and Charla are coming back from the funeral. They've brought the K for IC. They're sitting down and Joe walks out of, I guess, Dottie's room, and Ansel just says, matter of factly, "Hi, Joe, want a beer?" It's like Joe's living in this trailer, in this totally messed up situation, and it's at this point where it's almost like a frickin' redneck sitcom where Ansel and Charla are coming in. It's like, oh, hey, Joe's here. Joe's here with our
oh god,
probably way too young for him, even if she were normal, daughter. So yeah, just the absurdity of that at that point was just like, yeah.
Hey Joe, want a beer? Like, oh yeah. I love the line where he first gets with Thomas when Emile Hirsch first comes to, I guess when Chris first comes to the trailer to tell Ansel about the health insurance or the life insurance and all that. And Chris goes to smoke some weed that Ansel has, and Ansel's like, yeah, sure, help yourself. He's like, what is this? It looks like oregano, paprika mixed with something. Who sold you this? And then Ansel goes, you did? He's like, I sold you this? And it's just, of course Chris sells horrible weed to people. Yeah. Of course when he does a rabbit farm, a skunk and something else get in there and things just get torn apart. Yeah. He's just the biggest, I don't know, and Ansel just goes along with it. Ansel has a job. Ansel. He has a job. He understands mufflers. He knows how to weld. He knows how to work machinery. Like, I know he's not the sharpest tool, but the guy really has an aptitude. I mean, he keeps a job. Yeah. It's just the weird. He's just, well, okay, Jonny Numb, who is Ansel? Like, who is this guy?
It's weird because he seems like he's kind of he's kind of a bit of a doormat of a character. He does react to Chris, like, he smacks Chris around at a couple of points because, you often forget though that Ansel is Chris's dad because he gets treated with such disrespect all the time.
Yep.
That he doesn't exude that sense of paternal presence, I guess you could say.
They're drinking buddies, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if he's buying weed from his son, I'm like, this guy has obviously, lost his self-respect a long time ago. But yeah, he's just kind of mysterious to me because he and Chris chum around like they're just like drinking buddies more than father and son, I think, to the point where, but they're united in their dislike of Adele, the mom, that that they have a good father-son chat at a strip club, and that's kind of what it takes for Ansel to be like, okay, he's like, at first this is murder, but then it's like he goes along with it because he's convinced that Chris is convinced of this insurance settlement. But I kind of see Ansel as kind of he kind of feels like a pawn in this whole thing more than Dottie even.
Yeah. He just roll. All right, that's fine. And then he makes sure that Charlotte gets her money. He's just, yeah, squirrely dude.